Palm Sunday is one of those days that just goes from one extreme to another in such a short amount of time. We just began celebrating Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem. We were there for the crowds as they hailed him. There was excitement and hope and expectation. This is the Messiah. This is the one who's come to save us. And that excitement is palpable and tangible. And Jesus comes in with these crowds, some of whom have been with him for the past 3 years, some of whom may have just only started believing about him, some who may be meeting him for the first time. And yet they're taken up with expectation. This might be the one. The Messiah is going to free us. We've been under the thumb of Rome for so long, one captor coming in after another. We haven't had our own kingdom since the monarchy was destroyed. And now Jesus is coming, perhaps the son of David, to take back the throne that is rightfully his, to establish a kingdom once again. He'll take away our taxes to the Romans. He'll make life better for us. This is exciting. And they rejoice. And Jesus then comes back to Jerusalem every day throughout this week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on. And he mostly spends time hanging out in the temple. He's not heading up to the palace. He's not raising up a maelstrom or a rabble to go and start taking over. What's going on? He's preaching. He's teaching. He's working a miracle or two. But he's not doing what we wanted him to do. He's not doing what we asked. Oh my gosh, this might not be the Messiah. This might not be the one that's going to free us, that's going to liberate us, that's going to make our lives better. Here we got all excited. We've been following him. What the heck is going on? This is the guy you're talking about? And you see that by Friday, when Jesus doesn't act, there is anger. The people respond in anger to Jesus, and they call for his crucifixion. Completely 180 turnaround. How does that happen? I personally think that the anger is rooted in grief. That the people, in some sense, were grieving the loss of this expectation. Grieving the loss of the hope that this was going to be a change. That somehow this was going to be something different. And it didn't materialize. He didn't live up to their expectations. They weren't going to have a revolution. Life was not going to be different tomorrow. And there is a great letdown. And we go from exultation and expectation and hope to total deflation and almost despair, a crushing blow. And in that grief, as often happens, anger wells up. Anger comes forward and says, I don't want to feel this way. Make it stop. Make it go away. Kill him. I don't want to look at him and remind me of everything that we just lost, everything that we hoped for these past years. Just get rid of him. That's what grief does. It stirs up those kind of feelings within us. We all know that. We all go through grief. And I think we go through grief more often than we even know. Yes, there are those grieving big losses. We grieve when someone we love dies. We grieve when maybe a job is terminated, or we have to make a huge transition in our lives. We grieve perhaps when the expectation of our relationships isn't there. This isn't what my family or my marriage was supposed to look like. My friendship is breaking apart or drifting. The things that I do aren't working out. And we grieve even those things. In fact, we even grieve when we fail at something. I think sometimes we don't think about that as being grief because it's not a huge loss. But anytime something is lost in our life, we experience this grief. There is a brokenness within us and in the world. Indeed, as we pray at the Hail Holy Queen, we live in this valley of tears. It is grief. And in that grief, there can be despair. There can be denial. There can be anger. There can be bargaining. There can be all of those things that we see unfold in the gospel. And I think that's why Jesus is able to say, Father, forgive them. They know not what they are doing. Because they're not thinking. They are just feeling. They're just feeling the emotions of grief. They're just feeling the anger and betrayal. They're feeling these things and reacting out of it. And it's easiest just to walk away or to destroy the thing that reminds you of your grief. Who of us hasn't felt that? I remember just a couple years ago, I had been here for, I don't even think it was a year, and I seriously considered asking the Archbishop to move me, because I thought maybe I made the wrong decision. Maybe after leaving the place I had been at for the last eight years, and had grown in relationships there, and grown in the work that I did there, and I loved teaching in the classroom and being with the students, and then coming here and having none of that, and not seeing any familiar faces, and not having that same kind of work to be done, how different it was and how lonely I felt, and wondered, did I make the right decision? And then the phone calls and the emails and the letters that I received didn't help. Got many angry letters and notes telling me how bad I was, and that I was doing things that I shouldn't be doing, and what a horrible priest I was to be here. And after a while, that just hurts and deflates the soul. And I wanted to go away. And I remember that summer being on vacation and sitting on my friend's couch, and I just broke down. Because in that moment, I sobbed and I bawled because of everything that I had lost, and it hit me. That's what was at the heart of it. I had never grieved the transition. I had never grieved losing everything I knew, and all of the friendships that I made, and the people that I had built relationships with. And I realized, too, that people that were expressing their anger were also grieving. That they had gotten to know a pastor who built this place from the ground up, whom they got to love and trust, whom they got to know as part of their family. And then this new guy shows up, and he does things differently. We don't know him. We don't know what he's all about. And there is hurt in that. And there is a mutual grieving sometimes that we forget. And so we want to run away. So we want to lash out sometimes. I was thinking about this because last week on one of the nice days that we had, I was walking my dog and just kind of enjoying the walk, and I said to myself, I really love being here, and I hope I'm here for a very long time. And it kind of struck me and said, things you've grown, haven't you? Things have changed. You've made friendships. You've gotten to know people. You've settled in, and things are more comfortable and loving. You pass through the grief of transition. We all suffer grief. We all go through these moments of hurt and pain. And I don't know what grief you yourself may be experiencing. Maybe there is some relationship in your life that is ruptured. Maybe a marriage is struggling, falling apart. Maybe kids have wandered away. Maybe a friendship isn't as close as it used to be. Maybe you lost a job or got a serious diagnosis. Maybe someone just died. Maybe you grieve that the church can't seem to get her act together, and we keep having to deal with issues over and over again. I know what it's like. I've been hurt by the church many times in her people. We were reminded at our last clergy conference that the number one email and letter that priests receive today is one of criticism, anger, and critique. That's so true. And as I've spoken to other priests in the diocese when I was going through my stuff, their experience is the same. They also experience that same welcome or lack thereof oftentimes. Because there's a lot of pain. Father, forgive us. We don't know what we are doing. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. We just sometimes pretend. We just sometimes dig in and just keep going. And we bump into each other. And we rub each other the wrong way. And we don't realize that we're each grieving and going through our own things. And we end up hurting each other. Which is why Christ's reconciliation is so important for us. Because he came not only to reconcile us with God, but he came to reconcile us with each other. This is why the Passion is so important. Because he comes into the midst of our brokenness and in our hurt, and he lifts us out of it. We want sometimes to run away, and we want, like those people, to say, crucify that thing that I don't want in my life. Just make it stop. I don't want to have to go through this. But the cross reminds us that if we go through it, if we persevere with Christ, there is a resurrection on the other side of that cross. And we rise up, and we are strong again. Yeah, sometimes it hurts to be in our families, to be in our place of work, to be in our community, to be in our church. We don't need a new church. We need a purified church. We are always asking to be purified. I look in the mirror and I see a sinner and a failure and someone broken. We all do. This is why Christ was so beaten and bloody, to show us what we look like. And when we acknowledge that, we're ready for healing. And we're ready to be lifted up by His Spirit. Father, forgive us. We know not what we do. And that's where we rejoice, to hear the beautiful words of Him. When we stay with Him, when we hang through, today, I promise, you will be with me in paradise. I know you're still on the cross next to me, but that cross is going to take us to glory. You will experience paradise. Hang in with the cross, with one another. And as broken people trying to figure things out on the way, we rejoice to know that God loves us. We love each other, even if sometimes we hurt each other. Isn't that true? We hurt the people in our families, those closest to us, most of all, because we know their love, and that they're not going anywhere. God goes nowhere. He stays with us in our cross, and takes us to the glory of the resurrection.